All right, sexual follies, speaking of which. So Scarlett Johansson, a talented and attractive actress, has dropped out of this movie Rub and Tug, in which she would have played what is called a transgender man. So I'm always get very confused about this. This is Rub and Tug tells the story of Jean Marie Gill, who was born a girl, but who assumed the identity of a man, right? And operated a massage parlor and prostitution business in Pittsburgh in the 1970s and 80s. So she's a woman dressed up as a man, essentially. And the transgender community, which has got to be like 6 guys, right? Or girls, or who knows what the hell they are. They say to Scarlett Johansson, it is not right that a woman should pretend to be a woman pretending to be a man. I mean, it's like no acting here. This is the movie business, right? She's not allowed to act, but what she's not allowed to do is a woman can't pretend to be a woman who is herself pretending to be a man. I mean, that is, and she caved in, and it's like, here's the funny thing. I've said this a million times, I know, but like, I don't have anything against transgender people. I think it must be a tremendously, terribly painful thing to feel out of place with your gender, right? To feel that, I don't know, somehow I'm really a woman. I don't even know what that means exactly. Well, I do know what it means because we know men and women are different. So you feel like you're not fulfilling the archetype of a man, you're fulfilling the archetype of a woman. That must be tremendously painful. And I don't actually believe it's necessarily even a mental illness to feel that way. It may just be something biological that is, something even if it's psychological. What I do think is a mental illness, is declaring that if you feel that way, you actually are the other sex, because that's absurd. That's a mental illness. Torturing children and giving them hormones, that's mentally ill. It's not the people who are experiencing this painful state who are crazy. It is the people who are trying to convince us that that state is reality, and therefore an actress can't play a woman who is playing a man. I mean, that is completely irrational. And the fact that people keep caving, you can be a leftist, you can be tolerant and still not be bullied by nonsense, still not concede the point to people who are talking absolute crap. The professors at the University of Minnesota Twin Cities could lose their jobs if they don't use transgender students' preferred pronouns. A newly drafted gender identity policy at Minnesota's flagship public university is aimed at fighting misgendering, or calling someone by a name or pronoun they don't use. So in other words, they want to take the people who teach our children how to find truth and force them to not say what they believe. They want to force them to not say what they believe. Never mind even the question of whether a woman who pretends she's a man is actually a man or not, which is absurd. But never even mind that. If you don't believe it, you should be able to say it. That is part of free inquiry, free thought, and free speech. This thing is driving people crazy. And the underlying idea of it has to do with this hatred of sexuality, this hatred of humanity, which is male and female. That's the only thing. Only 2 kinds of people. There are only 2 kinds of people, men and women. Everything else, we're just pretty much the same. But men and women are different. And the fact that that is true, and the fact that it's unfair, and the fact that it has all the wonderful and terrible things that it produces in life, which is basically everything about life, drives these people crazy. They hate life. They hate humanity. They hate sexuality. And we should be ignoring them with all the power of our apathy. Okay, we should marshal all our apathy to ignore them completely. Shame on Scarlett Johansson. She's a wonderful actress. She should have stood up and said, I am an actress. This is what I do, is I pretend to be other people. That's what I do for a living. You cannot tell me I can't do that for a living because of your stupid politics. All right. The mailbag is tomorrow. Get your questions in. Conversation later today. See you there. I'm Andrew Klavan. This is The Andrew Klavan Show. The Andrew Klavan Show is produced by Robert Sterling. Executive producer, Jeremy Boring. Senior producer, Jonathan Hay. Our supervising producer is Mathis Glover. And our technical producer is Austin Stevens. Edited by Emily Jai. Audio is mixed by Mike Cormina. Hair and makeup is by Jesua Alvera. The Andrew Klavan Show is a Daily Wire Forward Publishing production. Copyright Forward Publishing 2018.